Okay, welcome to the recap for today. I'm just going to quickly go over what I saw in the trade that I took. So first thing coming into the morning, looking at the daily, we had this daily gap, which was my first draw for the day. And we also had previous day high right here. So just looking at this, what I thought would happen is, well, at least sweep previous day high since we're so close to it and hit this gap and then see what we do from there. We still had these lows down here and previous week low, which is like my draw overall for the week. And if you look at the weekly, we just had these, mostly this low here that I wanted to see get swept at some point and maybe trade a little bit lower before going back up to all-time highs. So I want to see what we did out of that daily gap. And from there we also had a 4-hour gap right here, which we had it inversed, and then we also had another 4-hour gap up here. But I drew out the daily range and the 4-hour range, so from this high to this low, and I pretty much thought, okay, we can sweep previous day high, and then I'm going to try to catch the top to short back down into this range. So my first spot that I expected us to react off of was just equilibrium of the daily range, which also aligned with OTE of the 4-hour range right here. So I marked those out, and then if you look at ES as well, we also hit this daily fair value gap, and we had this old new week opening gap and like a 1-hour gap here, so a pretty good spot to react off of. And originally longs looked pretty good just because we had 1800 looked like it opened lower into this 4-hour gap, Asia low trades into this 4-hour gap, and London low traded into this 1-hour gap. We also had midnight open holding. So at first this looked pretty good for longs, but once we swept previous day high and hit this daily gap, I figured shorts maybe would be more probable, especially with all these stacked lows here. And let me go to replay. So yeah, especially with all these lows here, and there was no gaps really, just lots of wicks here. So I was more so focused on shorts unless we traded lower first. So what happened is we had open here. We first traded lower, and we still left most of these lows. We swept out some of them, but I was still pretty sure about shorts because we still had this low here, and we still had London low. So from there, I looked for a more precise level to get a short out of. I still had the 4-hour OTE and the daily equilibrium, which is this red line. So I waited for this to get hit, and then we also had this 15-minute gap, which was unfilled, which was also a 1-hour gap fill right here, which we pretty much went past, but that was there. But the main reason I was pretty sure about shorts, even with this huge hourly wick that looks super bullish, is mostly because previous day high getting swept and leading into this gap, along with ES having this previous day high sitting right above or right below this new week opening gap, and the fact that we still had all these lows and equal lows here on ES. So from there, I looked for an entry once we tapped the daily equilibrium, and I also waited for ES to sweep previous day high, which was right here. So ES swept, oops, previous day high and finally hit this new week opening gap. And I went to the 1 minute and I didn't really want to take a 1 minute. There was no 1 minute rejection block either. And I went to the 3 minute from there and we had this 3 minute looked really good off of the 4 hour OTE right here. Also, we had this 1 hour order block right here. So this looked really good for the first entry. What gave me a lot more confidence was ES also had a 3 minute right off of this new week opening gap. This actually looked a lot cleaner on ES. It actually gets tapped right here. This looked really clean. Once I saw this, I pretty much just market ordered once this candle closed. I didn't limit because I knew I was going to get edged right here, and I took this on MNQ. So I went ahead and market ordered once this closed. My entry was, where was it? Right around here. And I did want this low because I didn't think this 15-minute rejection block right here would hold. I wanted all these lows, but actually ended up closing a bit early once we hit the CE of this 15-minute rejection block, because I pretty much just targeted a 1 to 3 to secure the payout. Didn't really feel like holding for more, but I could have technically. But yeah, close at the CE of this, so or a little past for a 1 to 3. Yeah. But this was pretty much the top, so pretty much caught the top, which is really nice. Yeah, you can see we just keep going. We still have all these lows and these pretty much equal lows. But yeah, I think this was really good. I mean, the entry wasn't perfect. Unless it was on ES, would have been a bit of a better entry. Maybe you take this if you actually put a limit. Let's see. You will get tagged in here. Yeah. And you sweep all these lows. Yeah, but that's pretty much what I saw today and how I traded it. Yeah. See you in the next one. Later.